Hello. First feeder session of the year. Roll the intro. Well, first feeder session of the year, and it's not a blank so far. Nope, there's a bite. I think I've had 5 or 6 skimmers. I've had to use the net for 3 of them, so they're actually alright. They're at that point where they're just too big to swing in. You know, normally if I'm catching a load of fish like that there, I'll just get a bit bullish and swing them in, but when you see the maggots dangling right in the front of their lip, you think, yeah, I'm going to net you, sunshine. So far the boat traffic's been light. I'm fishing a stretch called Dolan's Ring, just outside Enniskillen. I'm fishing about 3/4 of the way out. I've picked a boat in the marina opposite me as a marker, and I'm just chucking in. I haven't been going, you know, really hell for leather. I used for the first 20 minutes, I just chucked every 2 minutes, you know, so that was with bait up feeders, so that was a lot of feeders. Then I switched to a cage feeder. Oh yeah, bollocks. I switched to a window feeder. Oh crap. So now I'm going to have to untangle a maggot from my rod rest. There we go. Nice and simple. Free running feeder rig. A 4-foot hook length. Size 12 hook. And a load of maggots. Bait tray today: worm, corn, hemp, maggots and castor. Nice and simple, nothing special. Sink the rod tip. Wait till the rod tip springs back. That tells me that the feeder is on the bottom. Then wind down and set it in the rod rest. The river's just moving. That's a 45 gram window feeder. It's a Preston Innovations window feeder with the holes in the side, like the hex mesh. So when it hits the bottom, it's going to just basically dump a lot of the ground bait. The ground bait I'm using today is Sensus Black Noir, or Noir Gardens, basically means black roach. Lots of chocolate flavour in it, lots of chocolate smell in it. And I've added basically a full bag of that and a kilo of normal black crumb to darken it. Well, it's a dark mix anyway, but if you mix it nice and dark, it goes like that colour, which is kind of like it's not really black, it's more like a grey mix. It's not mixed that solid, it's lots of feed content in the ground bait. Putting casters in, putting corn in. I haven't put any worm in yet. But the sun is out. I'm out fishing. There's a little bit. The weather-wise, it gives it to be. There we go. That's it off. Weather-wise, it's going to be sunshine and showers. So, sunshine and showers all day. Let me cast this one back out again, and I'll see you all later. And we're in again. Feels a slightly better fish. That's the shock leader coming through the eyes. And there we go. Number 6 fish. They're decent size. It's always good catching fish that sort of size. You quickly build up a weight if you're catching them all day. But I am just out for a day's crack. Four maggots on a hook. And then I pack some caster into the feeder. So you're putting quite a lot of bait in, and then you're just plugging up the outside of it like that with the ground bait. These little feeders cast like an absolute dart. Sometimes you kind of forget that you're not fishing that far out, and you hit the clip a little bit harder than you should. But c'est la vie, I guess. Nope. So I'll leave that one sitting there for a second, see if we get a second bite. Once you pull once you strike, all the ground bait and all the feed that's in that feeder will discharge into a cloud. But normally if I strike and I know I've missed the bait, missed the fish, I let it go, let the feeder settle for just a second. You know, no more than maybe 30 seconds in the bottom. because that sudden puff of bait and ground bait and casters and corn or whatever you put on it gets the fish kind of interested in getting some kind of coming in. In that 30 seconds they might kind of see that hook length with the maggots falling and nail it. And if there's nothing on it, then I just pull it in, cast it out again. I don't mind when I miss bites the odd time. That means that there's fish there, gives you a little bit of hope that there's something on the end of your line. Maggots are fine. This is the new rod rest I got. Too much. New rod rest. When I was in buying bait from Fish and Tackle and Bait in Sligo Road in Enniskillen this morning, I seen the little Preston Innovation rod rest. It can kind of be quite compact, which is kind of good. And I picked up a Daiwa rod rest at the top. These little plastic things, I don't know if you can see them on the end, they're actually really good, because there's times where you fish for feeder fishing. The hybrids will hit the bait that hard, the rod will kind of rip off the rod rest. So those little plastic clips will kind of, hopefully, stop the rod from going off the rest. It's not quite as aggressive as method feeder fishing. If guys ever method feeder fished for carp, you know the carp will hit the rod and just rip it. You know, the method feeder rod rests, they tend to be like a hook, so that the rod can't physically go in. But it's a nice day. You can see the new marina that they built over there, new floating jetties. I would say in the summer this place will be absolute mental to try and get anywhere fishing done. The one 20-pound pike that I got this year was just about 300, maybe even 250 yards that way, just up the river. Not a great pike fishing season, if I'm honest. Not great. So, hailstones. Hailstones. Still catching fish. It's just hailstones are here. Suppose it could be worse. Could have thunder and lightning. I'm gonna put on a jacket because I'm getting battered with hailstones.
One eternity later.
It slowed down a bit there. I think that 30 minutes of hailstones kind of put things down. I'm just kind of chucking out, letting it sit for a good 4 or 5 minutes each cast. I'm not no competition today. I'm just taking a chilled out day fishing, I guess. It's the first day of the my feeder fishing. It's good to be back angling. Clears the head. I've had a tough couple of weeks there. getting out into the great outdoors. It's good to get out here. Just, you know, enjoy the solitude of it all a little bit. So what have I missed since I've been gone for like a fortnight, maybe 3 weeks even? Well, old Putin has miscalculated. I think Putin thought in his head that marching into Ukraine would be like what Hitler did in the Weimar Republic, you know, march into celebration and applause. Unfortunately, that's not happened. Well, unfortunately for Putin, it's not happened. The Ukrainians kind of seem to be leading a proxy war on behalf of NATO against Russia. I kind of can't help but feel that Ukraine's eventually going to get rolled over, purely because of the might of Russia, you know. Yes, we're supplying Ukraine with stuff like NLAWs and javelins and even the new switchblade type drones. The Americans are supplying them. Okay. We're supplying a similar model of drone. It's not called switchblade, but it's basically a 50-pound kamikaze pilot, kamikaze drone that has the capability to linger. So it can be launched. It's launched kind of like out of a mortar tube. It's like a mortar tube that launches it, and once it's up in the air and flying around, you can control it with your mobile phone, or a mobile phone, or a laptop. That ain't so bad, don't mind catching them. Drones will make your day really bad in a battlefield. You know, we've seen loads of footage of Russian tanks getting took out by drones, took out by anti-armor missiles, and I don't think the Russian armored vehicles are as good as they've been made out to be. The apparent best tank in Russia, the Omerta tank, got destroyed. There's footage of one of them getting opened up like a tin of beans by a British made NLAW. NLAW, and just NLAW missile. The missiles are actually manufactured here in Belfast, or here in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, in Shorts Aerospace. So I have a couple of friends that work up there, so keep working hard and keep making them, boys. The NLAW weapon system is simple. It's basically an angry pipe. A fire and forget. It has two modes of attack. It can fly straight at the target, direct attack, or it can do top attack, where it flies above the tank and comes straight down on the weakest part, which is the tank's turret. Top of the tank's weaker than the bottom of the side of the tank. So there's quite a lot of advantages to these smart weapons. Of course, the javelin's the javelin is the same thing. It's basically the same thing. However, the difference with the javelin is that the missiles can be reloaded into the tube, whereas with the N-Law, once you've fired it, it's gone. You just bin the tube. You can tell that there's been some training done with the Ukrainians, where they've been taught complex ambushes. You know, little things like there was like a clip where there was like a line of trees, and then there was a road, and there was like a field on either side of it. And the Ukrainians initiated the ambush by putting the first 2 tanks down with missiles. And then, as they were doing that, the guys in the trees opened up, and then there was artillery called in, and so it's quite a complex, a complex ambush. You know, a simple ambush is basically a group of guys hiding in the bushes, waiting for you to come along and then shooting at you. That's a simple ambush. You know, it might sound easy, but it's not easy. The more moving parts you add to something, the more difficult it becomes. So, with a normal artillery ambush, with the artillery being used in an ambush, that's adding another layer of complexity to it. So you have guys that are hiding in a dug-in position with anti-tank weapons to take out a tank. They understand as soon as they do that, the other tanks in the column are going to be aiming for them. So they need to shoot and scoot, as in shoot the weapons, get out of dodge, because even though the Russian tanks might be a bit crap these days, but you know, 120mm cannon will put a big bloody hole in you. So you can see them utilising the geography very well. They're utilising tall buildings. A tank can only elevate the turret so high, just the same way as it can only elevate the turret so low. The Russian tanks haven't really evolved since Chechnya, and the Chechens used to catch them. You know, Chechens used to wait until the tank was almost on top of them and then hit the tank. And the cannon couldn't go down to engage. But from talking to some of the friends that I have that are still in the forces, the air crew guys, you know, oh my god. A Typhoon pilot with a pod armed with brimstone missiles. Brimstone's a tank killer. The American version of brimstone is called Hellfire. You probably heard of Hellfire if you're into military technology. Brimstones have a hit to miss ratio of something like 89%. Where they're being lased, the missile hits. Even the other times it misses, they class a miss as being over 5 inches from where it's been lased. So an infrared beam's touching something. A successful penetration is where the missile touches the infrared beam exactly. A miss is where the missile still hits the target, but it's been 5 inches or more away from the laser. Even with these things, if they miss, if you're inside the big armoured box, you're going to have a bad day. And then of course there's things like the cannon on a Typhoon. It's a 30mm cannon. You know, you put 30mm depleted uranium rounds, they're going to zip through any sort of armour that's out there. Even explosive reactive armour isn't going to stop them. The fact the Russians are still using, they're still following the same playbook as they did in the Second World War is utterly crazy to me. You know, rolling in a 30-mile long convoy, that's just insanity. But ultimately, because of the sheer weight of numbers, I suspect that Ukraine will fall. they'll give it a good fight, they'll give it a crack and go. I don't think they have the strength and the durability to last for a protracted, engagement. Got to take into account though that in Russia, the people in Russia, there's talking in our news, and our news is bullshit. Our news are saying, oh well, eventually the people in Russia is going to get pissed off at Putin, blah 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 blah. The normal Russian on the street is getting fed state propaganda. The normal Russian on the street isn't getting told about losses. All they're hearing is mighty victory, and they're doing a mighty victory. They're taking away the Nazis out of Ukraine. That's how Putin sold it to his people. Putin's military is, whilst it might not have all the really nice really nice tactical stuff like we have today in the West, all the NATO nations have, it's numbers, sheer weight of numbers, Yes, they do have some fantastic aircraft, but instead of putting laser guided bombs, LGBs, or guided munitions, any sort of guided munitions, they're flying off with just dumb bombs. That's World War II technology, where you fly over an area and drop a bomb and hope it hits the target. Simply because the Russian Air Force doesn't have the capability to train with guided munitions. A, Russia doesn't buy them, Russia doesn't build them. So their aircraft pilots don't have enough funds to fly training sorties. This is why you haven't seen Russia's Air Force going in en masse. Well, that and the fact that the military there, the Ukrainians, have been given that many manpads that I wouldn't want to be an aircraft pilot. Manpad is a Stinger missile. Air is a ground-to-air anti-aircraft weapon. There's a load of videos floating around on Live Leak and places like that where Hind gunship helicopters have been plucked out of the air, where guys have basically stood with 4 different positions with 4 different missiles, and 1, 2, 3 over a lake they've hit the 4 helicopters. As long as Ukraine has the morale to fight and has the technology that's been supplied, the ammunition that's been supplied, the weapons, they'll continue to fight. But it's not going to be an easy day for them, So I think in the end, Ukraine will probably fall. Ukraine will just become like what happened with Crimea, where Putin just rolled in and said, "It's mine now, fucking deal with it." If we had a stronger president in America, then we might have had a different option, but we don't have a strong president in America. We have a president in America that I doubt if you asked him what day of the week it was, he wouldn't have a clue. Love Trump or hate Trump, I don't think Putin would have done this under Trump. Not at all. What else has happened in the world? Oh yeah, there was a bit of a slap in the Oscars. I kind of give up on watching celebrities and celebrity bullshit. The Oscars to me is a joke anyway. You have a bunch of spoiled fucking celebrities telling the rest of humanity how best to live. Sorry. Just because you're our performing monkey that can dance and clap and make us all laugh, that doesn't mean that you get to tell us how to live. You don't pay our fucking bills. So how's about just act, play the pretend character? Before anyone kicks off, performing monkeys, I'll call every one of them, all the actors that's there, regardless of their skin colour, performing monkeys. They're like those kids' toys that you wind up at the back and it claps the cymbals. You know, people that have an elevated opinion of themselves, shall we say. You know, Disney has screwed itself as a company. I think it was a bit silly, Disney. Disney's decided to take on the Florida state. Poor plan. Now, the media will call it the "Don't Say the Gay" bill. And it's not really anything about being gay. Nothing about being homosexual. It's about sex education for kindergarten kids from kindergarten to about 10 years old. I don't care who you are. There's a time and a place to teach children about sex. I believe that's to be done in the home by the parents. I don't understand why there's this push in society to let politically charged social justice warriors indoctrinate children into being, you know, gay or whatever. If you're gay, you're born that way. There's nothing you can do about that. You're born gay. I believe that in 30 or 40 years, as a society, we're going to look back the same way as we do now, looking back at people who do lobotomies on mental health patients. We're going to look back and say, what the fuck were we thinking? Pandering to a bunch of crazy people, letting them have access to children to indoctrinate them. That's just my view. I'm all for you doing what you want to do as a human being. If you want to pretend that you're a woman, you chop off your cock and you pretend you're a woman, son. But that doesn't mean that society, the wider society and the rest of us around you, that we have to clap and say how stunning and brave you are for mutilating yourself to appease the gremlins in your head. It's definitely a fucking strange world we live in. I'm gonna get a cup of tea, I think.
A few moments later.
Well, that's home time, I guess. I had about 20 something fish. I'll show you a picture of that now. Not a bad session. Some nice fish in there. But apart from that, it was a good day. Caught fish. Got hit with hailstones a couple of times. That wasn't so fun, but and I'm going to show you now where I was fishing. There we go, end of that jetty where the camera pod is. That's where I was fishing. You can see there's like a boat with a big green thing stuck to the back of it. Well, on the left hand side of that boat, there's like one that's very, very wide. That was the marker for the day, basically casting to that boat. Every time it rained, it killed the swim. So maybe there's something to do with the pressure, barometric pressure or something like that there, but it wasn't a bad day. The sun came out. When the sun came out, it was a cracking day. When the clouds went in and it became hailstony, not so much. But let's show you what I caught, and I'll see you all next time.